Hello and welcome back to this Voiceflow tutorial. In the last video, we were able to implement a simple RAG architecture using Voiceflow, and we were able to retrieve the chunks from the file, right from our knowledge base, based on the question that the user asked. Now, the questions that the user asks sometimes might not contain the right keywords or the right words that would spark that'll basically lead to the most semantic relevance, right? When your RAG system is trying to retrieve the text from the knowledge base. So the best thing a lot of times is to rephrase the question and ensure that that question is relevant or would generate relevant results to what is in the knowledge base, right? So what we can do here is that we can take this question and then rephrase it, right? So the way we're going to rephrase it, using a set step that is set using a prompt, right? So we can do this, just drag this onto the canvas, right? And then so we use a prompt here, so click on prompt. Okay, so we can then, now to generate the prompt itself, we can create the prompt. Now we need some system information. Let me just copy that out so that we can see how that looks like. So we can just paste this here. Say you are a helpful assistant trained on Bright Future University Admissions Handbook, blah 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 blah, right? Just to help the AI know exactly what its task is, right? And then for the user section, we can just paste this here, right? So this is meant to be question. So it says, please help rephrase the user's question below. Do not give any other answer except the rephrased question. So this basically gives the background to the AI about how it does its rephrasing, and then this asks it to rephrase. So let's rename this so that it's not called untitled prompt. Oh yeah, and we also didn't assign a variable, so we can just quickly do that and create a new variable and call this rephrased question, right? So we can just do that, and then let's rename this. It should not be called untitled prompt. Let's call it rephrase question prompt, right? Then we can close this. Good. So now we know that the question will get rephrased, so we can delete this. Now that branch has been deleted, we can then connect these two together, right? So now we can then connect these ones together as well. Just create more space. Yep. And then connect these together, right? Then we need to change this, so the question is no longer the question variable, it's now the rephrased question variable. Good. So with all this now, I think we can then proceed to test what we've just done, right? So, but we need to test it from the beginning. Okay, so let's test this flow. So we need to drop our question. That would be, what kind of support does BFU offer to international students, right? So you can do that. Okay, so this is the information that has been retrieved. You can see some information about TOEFL and IELTS, although that's the last option. That's the last chunk, I mean, the last most relevant chunk, right? Then the first relevant chunk is this, and it speaks about payment plans, right, which is important to international students, scholarships, right? And then we also have financial aid, and then so free shuttle for nearest international airports for all new students. So these are things that are important to, you know, international students, right? So I think this is pretty good. Now we can, yeah, I didn't even show us the rephrased questions, right? So you can see KB search, searching with the question. So this is the rephrased question now. So what specific support services and resources does Bright Future University provide for international students during the academic process and throughout their academic studies, right? So it basically takes this simple question here and expands it, right? Broadens it so that it contains more semantically relevant words, which are you know, which will be useful in retrieving the relevant chunks, right? So now that we're done with that, we can then decide to so you know what we're going to do now is that we're going to try to answer the question, right? So we have been able to retrieve the relevant chunks. Now we need to answer the question using those chunks, right? So using this KB response here, we're going to try to answer the rephrased question, which is basically the same thing as answering the user's question. So what we'll do is to use the set step, right? So come here, set step, yet again. So with this set step, just connect this here. Okay, so I don't need this anymore actually. Since this is just printing out the knowledge base, I don't need that anymore. Then what else? Yeah, I think that's good. Now we can just drag this here. Now we're going to try to answer the question using a prompt, right? So we need to create that prompt now. So the way we will do that is to, let's name this answer user question prompt. So that's the first one. Then let me copy the system message and just paste that here. Control V. So you're an admission assistant for Bright Future University. You're answering the question based on university documents, blah, 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 right? Then we can then create the user information like this. So context. So we want to give the AI some context, right? We don't just want it to answer the question using its internal knowledge that it derived from the internet, that it was trained on the internet, right? We want it to use the chunks that we have just derived to answer the user's question. So we can just say context and then put in KB response, right? And then we can then say, okay, user question, and then we can now come here. Instead of using the question, we just use the rephrased question. There we go. And yeah, that's that about that. So this basically helps us to set the answer, right? Oh, sorry, we've not set the answer yet. So we need to, so we've only created the prompt. So this would, the AI will be able to answer the question, but we've not set that response to a particular variable. So we can just do this, and let's say we create a variable, and then we say this is the RAG answer, right? So we can just name this, we can just create the variable, right? And then yeah, so the answer will be set to RAG answer. Now the next thing to do would be, yeah, we can just decide to print the answer, right, just to see how it works. So yeah, maybe we can just leave this here and then say the answer is, and then we can just say RAG answer. Now let's run our entire flow from the beginning. So think, what is the tuition for post-grad? So wait for that to work. Great, so now we have our response, right? So the answer is the tuition fee for postgraduate students, blah blah, are local students this, international students this. So yeah, it gives you all the information that you need. Now this is all well and good. We've been able to create the RAG system, and it seems to be working good. Now in the next set of videos, we're going to basically take what we've created now, this RAG system, and then we'll convert it into a component, right? So that component, now we can use it anywhere we want at any time we want, right? So we'll create, so the component is basically this step here, right? So it's basically another block, but all this would be within that block, right? So now we can integrate RAG systems into our workflow with relative ease, right? So, and that makes our work more cleaner and more modularized, right? In case you don't understand what I'm saying now, we will see all this in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.